what I'm presenting there. I'm going to show you the some configuration on the project on the agent. So if you say like, wait, I don't understand this, let me know. I can stop it until it's clear for everyone. Okay. So, well, I didn't present. I'm Daniel Alonso from Trondle, solution partner, and I will present the two real life case scenarios using Rovo and actually where the AI is useful for everyone. And this scenario, it came to me from one of the PMOs in our team. Our company as a solution partner work with a lot of customers, and some of the uh, project managers or leaders don't have access to all the customer sites because of license issues, or they just manage the team, but they don't want to be involved in the instance, in the Jira instance. So, but there were questions, and the PMOs always bother in the beginning of the month, like, can we have the report of the resolved issues the previous month? And so it's not a hard task, but it takes time. Takes time that can be automated. So I came with the idea to create to get the information with a JQL in the Jira site of the customer, send it to our internal site, process it, and show it and publish it in a Confluence page. This requires a couple of steps, and in words it sounds complicated, but it sounds better. It looks better, and I'm a very visual person and with a diagram. So what we're doing here is that we're just using an automation that will trigger in the external Jira site. It will trigger the action that it will trigger the action every month, every first of the month, 9 a.m. Pacific time. It will send the information to the internal side or the Trundle side. An AI agent will process this JSON, and it will the output will be an HTML page that will be published in a Confluence site. So a lot of Jara Jara. Let's see it in real life. So this is the agent. So to go to the agent, if you're in the Jira site, put it here. Click on these 4 squares that will show you all the applications that are installed in your instance. And here, if you don't see Studio, click on More, and then go to Studio. So it will take you where the AI Studio and all the Studio part is, and then click on Agents. And if you don't have the agent here, you can create it. I already have created, but it will be the same steps. So we have the agent here. We're going to set up the behavior. The behavior will consist in some portions or some sections where we're saying the agent what to do. Let me know if it seems big enough. There you go. So the first section is task, that we're saying the agent like a very generic or a very general idea of what it will do. So we're saying like you will receive a JSON format from the filter REST API. From that information, you need to extract a couple of fields, and the fields that are time, the day and time, remove the time and just present the dates. Next section will be context. So we're saying that and it will probably sound repetitive, but we need to do this to do the rail guards for the agents. As less gap to invent for it, we left. It's better because it will not like try to imagine something. So it will be only do whatever we need. So we're doing the context here, and we're saying that the agent must loop in all the objects into the issue. If you see the JSON from a JQL, you will see a lot of issues there, and there's a lot of information, so we can tell the agent to loop into all the issues array. Questions up to here? Oh, you sure? So we're given the instructions. The input is a JSON format. Access all the arrays in the issue values. Loop on every object. Do a for each for the fields that we need. Format fields, the date fields with this format. And build a Confluence table. We need to specify that it's for a Confluence table that we will use it, because otherwise it will add some characters. And the output will only include this extracted fields on the format on the example section. So the restriction that we're putting it is output must be in a Confluence table format. Do not include any other field, and keep the same order as in the object array in values. So those are the only restrictions that we need. If we need more, we can add them here. So we put in an example, and we specify that this is a partial JSON, so it will not be this JSON all the time. So we specify that it has to read the actual JSON. And here we have the issues with the rise. Here I'm just presenting one of the issues, but that's enough. And then I'm showing it an expected result and formatting the table in HTML format. We're putting the column names and the fields that came from the issue. Questions up to here? Yes, well, well, not really, because he asked that if I had to write the JSON, and the answer is no. And so the JSON, I can get it from one of the tickets. So if I have my ticket, there are not tickets there. There you go. So we can use the REST API, and we can use it here in the browser. When you do a request here in the browser, it's always do it with the get method. So we're using a REST API 3. And here's the JSON that you can copy. I trim it a little bit because it has a lot of information here, but I just put it like the essential pieces. So it will be, and you can copy it from here and just paste it in the definition. So once we have the behavior, and in this scenario, I'm just using one scenario. So this is all the behavior that it will do. In some other cases, we can build some other scenarios like different triggers, or depending on the trigger, do something. But in this particular case, I'm just doing that. It's that simple. Then the next step is to create the automation rule that will trigger every month. And this has to be done in the external Jira site of the customer. And as you can see here, the trigger will be starting in this date, and it will start at 12:51 p.m. So when the people start at the morning, they will see the report. And we're only sending one piece of information, that is the name of the customer. In this case, it's called demo. And the webhook request URL, we're getting it from the internal side, is the trigger that we're using it. So we're sending all the information here to the internal side. So now in the internal side, we have this other automation rule that will catch that information and process it. So this webhook URL that you can see here, all this URL, you can copy it, and in the external side, put it in the web request. You also will need the X automation token webhook, and that information is called secret. And how do you know how to do the format? You can see here in the work item criteria, and it will show you the instructions to send it. If you want to send it in any other process or a script, you can also do it. It has to be done from an automation rule. Questions up to here?
What's the external Jira and the internal Jira? Like, I don't have two Jiras, but I'm
Yeah.
you're using that as an example.
Yeah, I'm using it as an example, and it's a scenario that we use every month because us as solution partner, we work with a lot of customers, and the leaders don't have access to all the customers, but they want to see what happened on the previous month, so how many tickets we resolved and some details.
To go the same process again.
An internal Jira, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If you have like a physical separation between instances, that basically solves it.
Oh. You know, you have any other questions while we connect to the baby so we can see it?
So we can also like expand it and set it up two ways, right? So if the customers need some info from us, we can start
Yes.
flowing it backwards, right? So
Yeah, you can do also a synchronization if you're having two instances and you want to synchronize, and but if you want to massage the data, the agent, the AI agent is very good at it. It's very good at playing with the information and processing and giving an output, and it's very good at it.
Is anybody here at the RovoCon event?
yes.
There?
Yeah,
Do anything other than that?
pretty fun.
Yeah, I know. Good event, but it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Pretty fun. Yeah, we took away some of that stuff. Pretty fun.
I think they have some more similar sort of Rovo training events scheduled at June. Ending. I think all the reservations are already booked up, but from what I hear, there is some drop in. There's always yeah.
Something happened. Content.
For our one of our all hands.
Okay, but can you still see it?
Rent two speakers, using a wire and a wireless mic. Done.
Oh, yeah. So,
Okay, we're back online.
yeah, sorry about the, sorry.
Okay, so once we catch the data, we can have different conditions for the different customers. I'm just showing one customer here. This is important because the next steps are adapted to the customer that we receive. So as you can see here, the condition is webhook data.customer. So it comes from the data that we send it here. It's always getting it with the data format, and then customer, and the name of the customer is demo. So we're catching it here with a condition that says webhook data customer demo. The next step to do is to build the JQL that we're going to send to the external side to get the information. It will be this format, because we're doing a dynamic JQL, so we're using the functions minus mont and format to have this result. So the result will be um, it will be resolution date. It's greater than 2025-06-01, and resolution date uh, less than November 31st. So this is to close the gap. We can adjust depending if the customer wants the information for 3 months or the previous month, etc. But we can use these functions. Once we have that data, we send the, well, we need also the version of the page of the of the Confluence, the current version, because when we're putting the information, we need a +1 version. Otherwise, the call will fail. So we're sending the information, sending the web request to get the current version of the Confluence page. Okay, questions up to here? We're saving that information in a variable called page version, and now we're posting using the REST API for the JQL to the external side to get information. So this is configured like this. This is a REST API. Then we're using a method post. We're sending custom data, and we need these fields, the fields that we will require. And here is the JQL. So for this, we will need a service account that has access to the external side, or the developer REST API key in order to send this information. So I'm using here the authorization and the basic authorization. Once we get that response from the REST API, we're sending that response to the agent. The agent is the one that we configured before, and it will provide the response as an HTML. I'm using also this variable to clean up that response a little bit, because I noticed that it includes some characters and some strings that break the rule, such as HTML and the break line and this character that is like a single quotation. And at the end, I just did a trim. And it's important to include this JSON encode, so it keeps the JSON format. Once that variable is trimmed and ready to send it, we're using another method, a put method into the Confluence page, and we're sending it with the name of the report, or the name of the page that will be demo report from, and then we're formatted again, so it will be dynamic, and it will send the HTML variable here. And this is where we use page version. So every time that that we made an update, Confluence by nature, it keeps a historical record. So if a leader wants to see the previous month's record reports, they can go on and check it. Okay, so let's do a demo. I will delete this information. Okay, this is a clean page, and I'm triggering the rule. So this rule will run every month, but in automation, I can force it to run. Okay, that runs and send the information to the internal side, and this is waiting. So while it's waiting, any questions on the process? Do you feel it's too much? Oh, good. Okay, it takes around, well, depending on how many tickets you have to process, it takes from 12 seconds to, it has run in 6 seconds. So, okay, that finished. We refresh the page, and we have our report. As you can see, the agent is very good processing data and giving an output depending on what you need. And this is how we use it for this real life scenario. And yeah, now I hand it out to Alex to, no, not yet, to show his presentation. Thank you.
Question, help setting this kind of thing up?
Yeah, if you need any help, I will give my contact information and the last.
So Daniel, what was the question?
Oh, the question was that if we have, if they have any additional questions, I said that I can help with it. Just send me an email and I will be glad to help. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Oh, you need to set it out now, the baby for him.
Okay, one sec. We're just going to switch over.
Working.
Daniel, show your sharing.
Inception. Yep, got it.
Go ahead.
Oh, boy. Do you want me to clip it? All right.
Well, she's online. Free to let you know the audience.
All right. Let's get to it. Sweet. Can I get a confirmation that the screen is shared? Awesome. All right. There's a new kind of problem emerging that we're starting to experience, and that is a lot of AI-generated documentation. Posted, never proofread. Very much incorrect. That happened to us, and we had to scramble to kind of disable and remove it from the search results. A lot of organizations entering this while having a different problem, more familiar, outdated documentation or no documentation at all. You know, you open up a chatbot, you ask something, you get a stale answer, you get, you know, or no answer at all, or you just get some hallucinated, very plausible sounding, you know, content. Both things can exist at the same time. Both erode trust, and both are pain. I'm Alex. I've spent well over 15 years in technical operations across the board, and I'm mostly specialized in the workflow and process across different tools in the business stack. There's some words that associated with me. As I said, as Daniel said, it's nice to see some familiar faces, especially the front row that I work with. But for those who have been at the RovoCon and from now, and we all know that the technology moves extremely fast. So, you know, everything coming out every day, if not every hour. But today I want to take a little bit slower approach, a little bit something more foundational, and that is information quality over time. So in a lot of demos that we experience, we, you know, we present it with a perfect amount of information. You know, you point AI to it, it does stuff, it generates it, it's all magical, unicorns everywhere. But the real world is a little messier and a little more complex. So the reality is pretty simple. We do a lot. And on average, in high flow environments, support technicians work about 15 to 20 tickets a day. Each ticket is a set of decisions. What's the priority? Is it a problem at all? Is there documentation about it? Should I ask Sarah? Oh shit, Sarah left 6 months ago. Who do I ask, right? You know, and the bottom one, the most favorite, you know, I'll do it on Friday. So the cost and the outcome is pretty sad. So pre-COVID, McKinsey estimated about 20% of the work week for knowledge workers is spent searching for information that they need just to start work. That's one full day or one full person out of 5-person team. Post-COVID, that number went up to 1.5 days. Cornell University said about 1,200 app toggles per day. That's a lot. I'm getting tired just reading that. And the poor documentation economic impact results in about 20K US loss per employee per year. You know, at the high scale, that's quite, you know, comes up to quite a lot. So to combat this, we put the workflows, we put validations, we put required fields, but that just adds a lot more overload. You know, some people put a period in a comment, right, or one word, call it a day. Not because they're lazy, but because they concentrated on getting the job done, right? And so when the queue is full, the ticket enrichment, the information capture goes out of the window first. That results in a degradation over time, and that's very sad to me. Now, but what if AI, right? So if we ask AI generate on stale information or no information at all, not only are we running a high chance of hallucinating, but also what we do is we cover up the gaps. When I expose them, we don't know what's happening. Hallucinations are mathematically inevitable because it's a prediction model, and we need to work around it. In 2024, 47% of enterprise AI users made a major business decision based on hallucinated content. You can search around. There's some horror stories coming out this year. You know, stay tuned. The most important to me is that with all of that generated information at scale, what you do is you're losing awareness at scale as well, right? You stop understanding what your system is, what it does, where the things are, and if they're true at all. So before we go into the demos, I just kind of want to go over my personal approach to designing those kind of solutions. Clarity of comfort, agents expose, flag, and never cover up, right? Better flag the absence than, you know, fabricate the presence. Compounding changes, right? So quick wins are important sometimes in a time of crisis, but more mindful and intentional quality wins every time in the long run. I try to build people-centric systems, the systems that help, the systems that keep stuff fun. I am not excited about the idea of working with only AI agents and no people at all around me. And the system that hides its failures just optimizes for surprise, right? So you can generate all of the stuff, but if you don't know what's happening, everything is going to be P1. For the approach, we're going to go over, so first and foremost, I'm going to utilize LLMs for what they're predictably good at. On a well-formed text, in categorization, extraction, and summarizations, those systems do beat humans. So the other things, minimal adoption friction. I don't want to introduce new tool for the people to use. I want to inject those things into the existing processes and assist. Real world. Some tickets are really bad. And, you know, we need to, you know, really, about 60% anecdotal evidence from the personal experiences. So we got to account for that. Decision support and not decision making, right? Surface, flag, show, let the person decide, and let the expertise worth something. Deterministic when possible. Sometimes you actually don't need to use the AI. And none of it is really silver bullet, right? So all of that is the information management infrastructure that requires governance and work. It just shifts where your work is. And the last one, we're going to try to constrain the output space as much as possible, right? We're not going to put all of the things inside the LLM and hope for something to come out. And we're going just to tell it what not to do as much as to tell it what to do. So let's shift into demos, if I'm going to find them. All right, so we can see the screen there? Sweet. So here's a wonderful ticket. 3 words on the description. Sorry, zoom in? Of course, yeah. If I know how to do it. Sweet. All right, so impacting shipping dockets. I know exactly what to do. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to trigger those automations manually, and all the output is going to land in the formatted comment. But in the real life scenario, you're going to break it up into custom fields because then they're going to become queryable, and we'll funnel the data further. So in this particular case, when the ticket is created, we don't need to open the chat. We don't need to ask anything. We just fire up the automation, and it parses up. So James here actually already running some of those. So in this particular case, so let's wait for a second and just kind of see what's going to come out. I'm going to refresh. No, thank you. Well, there's that. There's no AI. It's a canned comment. We're checking purely using automation. Is the description empty? Is it under 200 characters? You can define your validation rules, what makes sense for you. We just put the comment and we put a label needs detail. We don't fire up the agent. Save yourself some credits. So let's go to an automation first, and then we're going to move on to the agent. All right, so there's going to be a little bit like this. So again, little if statement. If it's empty, post a comment, call it a day, right? No need to run it. No need to use those resources. Same on the, less than 200. But that just to illustrate the principle. If we pass, we're just going to trigger an agent and pass the ticket number, and then just get the agent response. So I'm going to switch to an agent real quick, and I'm going to zoom in real quick as well. All right. Sweet. So in this particular case, it's a pretty straightforward prompt. I'm not going to go through it. We will post it later. I'll coordinate with Daniel. But ultimately, what we're going to do, we're going to task it to read the ticket. Summary description, any comments, any fields, whatever is out there, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to produce a structured problem statement. We're not going to generate anything. We're not going to generate the solution. We're going to extract. And whatever structure makes sense for you, you can implement it. But ultimately, what is happening? Where is it happening? Who is affected? What's the expected observed behaviors when it's started? Same for the named entities. So named entities recognition is what NLP systems are pretty decent. Effectively, they semantically know what is the name of something inside the sentence, a name of technology, a name of the person, and so on. And for the third one, we're just going to run a quick search on Confluence and see if there's any articles. And post a link, post 1-sentence explanation. Why is it relevant? We're not going to link it. We're not going to execute it. Effectively, when you open a ticket, before you start working, imagine someone just coming over and saying, look, here's some stuff. Have a look. Could be helpful, right? Go ahead.
Use the extract. Does that tell it? Just tell me what's in it, as opposed to like most people say, tell me about what? Tell me, and he opens it up to say, what do you think?
So you want to be, yeah. So the question is, like, I'm using the words extract a lot. Is there a functional difference between tell me or not, right? So you want to be very restrictive and instructional in your language. But again, the LLMs are black boxes, so your mileage may vary, right? So you need to experiment and find what works for you. Yeah. Right. So this was kind of like I was playing with it. Oh, sorry, I apologize. So the question was if I'm invoking the skill suggest priority. So this is me just was playing around realistically, and just a little left over. But agents have skills. They can perform actions, right? So here I was just kind of wanted to see how accurate it's going to get to what I'm thinking it is, right? So again, it's not executing anything. It's not moving the ticket around. It suggests, right? So, and that's kind of the the whole point of decision support rather than decision making. I'm not changing the priority of the ticket. I'm saying, hey, it looks like that. I make the decision. I make the call. Because it's also part of the ownership and the risk management, right? If it breaks and it's a wrong priority, you can't really blame an agent.
Have you added that skill in the configuration of the agent somewhere else here?
No, it's on the bottom, but I may have actually removed it as well. So. But let's move on, right? So again, the rules are simple, and you want to be more restrictive than permissive, right? Always specify what not to do. But that's basically it, right? So you can literally ask Rovo to write your prompt, right? So describe what you want, and then move on and implement that. So let's move on. Now, I've done the ticket. I finished the job. I'll move on to the next fire, right? So, but that is the core moment, because this is where the information kind of goes to die. So again, we're all at capacity, working a lot, and I got 20 tickets a day. I got 5 more stand-ups, and 3 more Slack huddles, and then people bugging me all around. So this kind of work just goes away. So again, same similar kind of 2-tier deterministic check, right? If there's enough information to work off. So I'm going to fire up the ticket closure automation on the thin ticket. And we're not even going to invoke an agent here as well, right? We're going to check. The threshold is going to be easier because description could be small, but the comments could be rich, right? So we're going to be mindful about this. But in this particular case, so that's it. Flag it. Apply the label. So let me scroll down. And so we're applying few labels that are baked into the automation itself. So now with this, we can surface it and we can say, hey, how many tickets do I have that are knowledge gap, that are closed, but have nothing on it, right? And that kind of feeds back to my philosophy. So let's go to switch to a decent ticket. Sweet. So so we have a ticket, pretty good description, could be better, but I'm a perfectionist. So I'm going to do the same ticket enrichment, and it's going to run for a bit. So we'll see if it's going to run fast enough for me. It is working. We can check. But ultimately, I'm going to just jump in here. It posts what's advertised on the prompt. 1 sentence description for everything. I'm going to wait for it to execute, but I'm just going to show the canned ticket here. What is happening, where it's happening, who is affected. So that's already removes a lot of cognitive load on individual, because when you open a ticket and you met with a novel, you start scanning, you inevitably miss things. This just extracts it and specifically says, if you don't say who's affected, put not stated. You can filter it on this further down as well, right? Use the keywords if you want. So let's see if it just executed, just to show that it's working. And here we have it. And so similarly, we're going to fire up the ticket closure. It's going to run. I'm going to kind of flip back to the pre-made ticket, because it's going to do exactly the same thing. So again, introduce the structure for your summaries, right? Whatever works for you, you do it. What was happening, who was responsible, what was done, how it was solved, the most important part, right? So the second point here, this is part where I had a little fun. So each ticket has a history, who added label, who added a comment, status changes, back and forth, things like this. So what we do is a changelog analysis. And it's effectively a rudimentary process mining that allows us to analyze the event log and do it at scale, so we can see what the process deficiencies are, right? Before, if I'm going to ask you to do it, see in a couple of weeks, right? But now we can kind of output this. And again, if we land it in a custom comment, custom fields, and so on and so forth, we can report on it pretty reliably. And again, the same, we'll do some little search to see if some knowledge base article exists for this kind of problem. So we need to update it and add information to it. So that's basically it here, but there is an extra step. So in the automation, and I'm just going to switch back to the automation real quick. So again, we're checking for things, we invoke an agent, and then we're invoking the agent the second time. Now, in the Atlassian automation, you already have the step for the Rovo to apply labels. However, is it a bug? Is it a bug fix? Is it, oh my God, it's on fire, right? You don't have any control over the labels. And so potentially in months, you're going to have a label bloat, and it will remove the whole point of having labels. So in this particular case, and this is actually my favorite one, so let me just kind of drop in here. And by the way, I'm using the same agent. I'm using multiple scenarios inside of it. And I'm just invoking them with effectively a code phrase. So instructions are extremely simple. You're a labeling agent. Read the ticket. I attached a page called approved labels. And that is very simple page, very simple table. Here's a label, here's a description, when to apply. Again, whatever works for you would work for you. But in this particular case, what I'm doing is I'm separating the execution from the decision parameters, right? As an administrator, I made an automation, I made an agent, made a prompt. I don't want anyone to touch it. It's mine. And I can basically just load it up into the agent's memory, right? And say, hey, here's all the labels. Go ahead and match it against the ticket and apply it. It only applied those labels explicitly, right? Again, testing required. I'm always on the lookout. I'm always expecting hallucination, but it's quite predictable. So what it gives, it enables your operations teams to actually go and maintain that knowledge. It shifts them from applying the labels and thinking which label to apply to just managing the page and basically create the taxonomy and manage that. And when they edit the page, that is applied immediately on the next agent run. Go ahead.
Something similar for priority as well, right? Like,
correct. So this is not only applicable to labels. Sorry, the question was if we can do it for the priority, and the answer is yes. So this is basically a design, right? So it could apply to your SLAs, priority escalations, assignment rules. Effectively, you define a rule set, right? And you control it, right? So you shift work from actually typing things out, right, to managing what the game rules are, right? And you control this. And so this basically results in, let me find the ticket. So we got the closure summary. So that was the initial ticket where around the automation. So you could see here that it actually noticed that I assigned the ticket to Daniel like 4 times. And then he assigned it back to me. And so we define it as an assignment ping pong, right? So that is for engineering leaders to basically say, hey, for this specific type of issue, for this kind of type of work, why do we have a lot of back and forth, right? So that's the part of exposing the process deficiency and working on it instead of like just covering it up and call it a day. So let's go back to the presentation for a second. No? Like this? Sweet. So Atlassian stores information conventionally in structured, probably in some structured databases or NoSQL. And now they also implementing the teamwork graph, which is a knowledge graph and a unified data layer above all of the products. Now, by creating and labeling things and linking knowledge-based articles to the tickets, what you do, you're increasing information density, right? And through that alone, you're improving the context that those systems operate in, and as well, you're improving the retrieval for people and for agents, right? So if you don't find anything, you can find some stuff. And if I'm a new hire and I'm starting, I'm not alone. Like I'm starting from the structured statements, right? For some things linked up and labeled, and I can search and I can make sense of what is happening from the day one. Now, these automations are extremely simple. You can literally build it in a day, right? The idea could be complex, the frameworks underneath it and thinking underneath it could be complex, but the execution and implementation never has to be. In fact, it is better to apply the smallest, simplest change to the system because then it will grow over time. So how can we take this further? You can open up a Rovo right now and ask it, hey, can you run an analysis on 1,000 tickets? You're gonna empty out the context window, and it's gonna ask, hey, I can't do it. It's gonna hallucinate, or you're gonna do it in batches. But by creating, and funneling the information into the structured opening statement and closing statement, we effectively conserving and distilling the context and the meaning of each individual ticket that allows us to actually perform analysis at scale. And execute on this. As Daniel showed, the API calls are relatively simple to implement inside the system. So you can take that closure summary and you can just create a knowledge-based article in Confluence with 2 API calls, right? You can link it, you can label it again, and that, again, will continue to improve the system. And none of it is really new. All of this kind of maps out to known operational frameworks that existed for decades. Knowledge-centered service existed for 30 years, like 1993, I think. ITIL for 35 plus. Lean from 1950s, right? Toyota Production System. Whatever operational framework you work in or you believe in, you can implement because each of them already have defined information loops. And the idea itself transfers. Framework is, your choice, really. So to close, I just want to say that the adoption of the technology is not transformation. It doesn't translate into a meaningful system change and meaningful organization change. The daily active users, well, we use Gemini, and I got 98%. Did it change much of the processes? Did it change much of the delivery? On the individual level, maybe yes, but on organizational, very little. The system changes come from system changes themselves, from the closed information loops, from proper governance, and the proper loops created. And to close this, just build the system that are worth working in, not replace the people, but rather support and have fun. Thank you. Questions? We got 4 minutes. We got 4 minutes. Go ahead.
Can you talk to other systems like Slack? So like not just
Right. Of course. Yeah. So we finally got our. So the question was, can we work with some third-party systems? And yes, absolutely. Right. So here I'm just trying to constrain myself because if we're going to start talking about compliance and risk management and all this kind of stuff, we'll be here till Sunday. But we got the compliance approval for usage of Rovo on Slack, right? And so we've been kind of experimenting with it, and it works quite well. So again, we can invoke the agents. We're starting to experiment with a virtual service agent. So I can't attest to that, but based on what I see, it's kind of fun. Currently, we're concentrating on the foundational aspect of it and is working with knowledge and information. So like Friday, I'm starting a bigger initiative for our operations division. But yeah, Slack, absolutely. Teams, whatever you can connect, right? And if you can't, if you have a third-party mesh like Make, Solonis, N8N, whatever you're using as a tier, you can still connect things and invoke stuff. And Rovo has MCP, so if you have solid engineering department, they can whip something up for that. So yeah, it works. It works and it's helpful. And I have like my own little test space where I keep just invoking Rovo instead of going to Atlassian, because sometimes I need a break from all the tickets that I'm working on.
So question for you. So it looks like you guys have figured out, which is cool. Like, I don't want it to tell me what it thinks. I want it to extract information to let me make the decision for my tickets.
Yeah.
Awesome. The other piece too, I think that you guys have actually been able to figure out, and I'm more interested as well, is when you can use automation versus actually then invoking the agents, which costs money. Is there anything that you would recommend to like communicators that you guys are using as far as like, when do I actually need the Rovo agent as opposed to when can I just build this as automation?
It's a good question.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
it
saying, 'cause
totally
you
makes
clearly
sense.
figured it out. I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And you can save yourself some money if you're like, I don't need a Rovo for that. I just needed automation. But again, as a bit of a layman, it's like, okay, well, when do I could just build this as automation. I don't need Rovo. But I
Right.
need Rovo at this point. I don't know if you guys are using any resources or something you might. And you can send it out afterwards if it's easier.
Yeah, we
like,
can
if
we
it's
can
stuff
chat
you
after, but
use,
I will
then
answer the question. It's a great question, right? So, and that's the part of the thinking, because the first kind of the first kind of impulse,
just tell me.
just put it into the AI,
Yeah.
spin the wheel, hope for the best, right? And again, because if you're in a high flow environment, it's really hard to it's really hard to proofread stuff, right? You just keep moving until you really face plant. So that's really a part of the mindset and the coaching, right? And so, as I said, deterministic when possible. So you have basically deterministic stuff, and then you have generative stuff, right? So when you're trying to process unstructured text, right, you can use AI, right? Restricted, but use it. But if you're doing just a simple string match, or if I'm saying, hey, is this field empty? If I'm invoking this agent from inside automation, I'd rather just do the automation, because if it fails, I have an audit log. I know exactly what happened, which step of the way, and I can fix it. LLMs are a black box, so they do stuff, and you just need to see the output, right? And so then you basically restrict it to the black box testing, which is not fun. Been there, done that. Don't want to go back. So I hope that answers.
So less is more until more is more.
Correct. Yeah.
Perfect. No, I think it's really cool. Again, we've just started to play with it, and it's sort of like, when do you get the most out of it? When do you not want to bother? And when do you not want it to hallucinate? And I love that this has become like a common term with AI, is the hallucination factor, which is 100% accurate. But
sometimes you actually want to hallucinate.
I mean,
so.
I like a little hallucination now and then.
I like breaking my AI systems. I managed to break Gemini once, and it was thinking for 200
because
cents.
it keeps telling me how awesome I am. So
yes.
awesome.
Any
That's
other
really well done,
questions?
folks.
No? Awesome. All right. So if there's no other questions, we can wrap this up. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone online.
All right, thank you.
How do I,
Yes, thanks
how
to
do I
everybody
go away?
online. All right.
Boop.
Sure, I'll take care.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just get out of your way. Take my water bottle. I need my cold pizza. Yes. Delicate, I need my pizza. Get out of the way.
Okay, I think that's all the content we have to share online. We do have a few quick things for people still here in person. We have a few prizes to give away. I think about 3.
4.
3. So we'll start with one of the small boxes there. Watch that. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. All right. And the winner of the wooden robot, Barton.
Oh no.
What? Are we missing somebody? Okay, apologies for that. Yeah, we'll if Simon comes up, we'll
If you spin my name, I
yeah.
usually-
Okay, we've got a water bottle next. Simon. Sorry, what is your name?
Because his name is not here.
Yeah, I know, it's okay. So sorry, your
So we
name?
can give it to.
Did I get it?
Yes, you got it.
Because I think that we're gonna swap his name too.
Okay. All right, and the last prize, which is the AppFire hoodie that we still have from last time. Thanks to Ed Gale, yeah, when he was out here last year. So that is going to Tanya. All right. Thank you very much. That's sadly we don't have any prizes to give away to those online, but if you dial into the post team, we will have some prizes that came on online. We're just going to take a quick group photo and then grab yourself some more pizza, another drink, and hit the road or whatever you feel like. Thank you so much for coming out. Yeah, yeah.
There was probably some questions online, and I totally ignored it.
No,